Hi, I'm Elizabeth Cantey, and this is another episode of Living Enlightened Every Day. And on this show, we talk about integrating spirit, mind, and body. Today, we're focusing on the body part. What does it mean to actually integrate spirit, mind, and body? That's where we're going to go, and I have my special guest, Troy Ismir, to help me.
It's great to be here. One of my favorite topics today is about nutrition, so we're going to geek out a little bit on nutrition. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Good.
So last week I said that our bodies have an idea of health and wholeness, and we can open ourselves up to that idea when we really turn within and listen, when we're paying attention to the signals that the body is giving us. We can intuitively help ourselves, help our body, and make it easier, take the path of least resistance when it comes to integrating spirit, mind, and body. And I pointed out last week that if our bodies are so out of alignment, out of health, if they're in dis-ease or discomfort, and they're sending those signals to us of pain or joint achiness or bloatedness or any of these things, stiffness, if we're not using our bodies enough, working out or things like that, then we can't be in the present moment because our bodies are screaming at us, basically, even if it's in the background. So the whole point of being in alignment and integrating spirit, mind, and body is that we are not stuck in the content of our awareness. We're not stuck in just being aware of the body and the disease and the discomfort, and we're not stuck in just the thoughts, the moodiness, or the whatever's going on in our mind. That we're actually, our primary focus and attention is on the essential nature of our being, which is spirit. And when we do that, when we have that top-down effect, spirit, mind, and body, and there's a flow and an integration, a cycling of energy, and it's I'll say top down, there is no top, but you get what I'm saying, spirit, mind, and body, then our body is at ease instead of dis-ease. And so one of the things that we've done is adapt a vegan lifestyle. Vegan, I want to say nutrition, what? We eat vegan.
Yeah, it's a plant-based lifestyle. And
Yeah.
that's something that I adopted about 4 years ago. And been sharing that for about the last year together. And it's been a way of life for me over the last 4 years. And it's just something that I truly enjoy. And I will say that I strongly believe that nutrition is very unique to each individual.
Absolutely.
So I think one of the main things that I want to share is that we all are different, and we get to choose what lifestyle works best for each person. And veganism works really well for me. And I educated myself and I saw a lot of benefits to my health, to the environment, to animals. And it was something that I transitioned into. And it's just been a really healthy, fun way of life for me. And I realize it's not for everybody, and
Yeah.
that's okay. I'm not a vegan evangelist. I do believe, as I shared last time, the simplistic view of eat more plants, not too much. Mostly foods,
Plants.
yeah, mostly plants, foods that nourish our body. And we get to decide for ourselves from that intuitive body wisdom what makes us feel good, what gives us the most amount of energy, what's simple. I'm a big believer in keeping it simple.
Yeah, and you are a licensed nutritionist, right?
I am a certified nutrition. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not. I know it's they get a little they get a little tricky when you say you're a licensed nutrition.
okay.
I'm certified as a nutrition coach through Precision Nutrition, which is a great resource if you're just looking for very objective nutrition education. A lot of times, nutrition education is very biased
Right.
and it's really difficult because it's a lot of it is based on marketing and money and trying to get your money. So this is a resource that I send to all my clients to, where just really good sound objective information that's not biased whatsoever, because honestly the world of nutrition can be very, very confusing.
It is
We've
very confusing for
made it,
someone like
yeah,
me.
we've made it very confusing, and the waters are very muddy, and what one person says is really good for you, another person will say it's bad for you. And I think that's where it comes down to our own unique energetic needs and listening to our body. And we've kind of lost touch with our taste buds. And
Yeah.
I say our taste buds have been hijacked. Um, and I've read the book a long time ago. It's called Salt, Sugar, and Fat.
Oh,
And the way food is made this in this day and age, it's made to be addictive. So sugar is very, very addictive. If anybody has these strong sugar cravings, and there's a reason for it, then they've shown that sugar is actually more addictive than cocaine, which is a very scary fact. And I think I shared the statistic last week that 90% of our world is over fat, and there's a reason for that.
and it's preventative. I mean, there's certain
Absolutely.
things maybe that we um, might think in our world, in our reality, that are not preventative, let's just say. But but a lot of times we
Mm,
can prevent certain kinds of being overweight or over
yeah.
fat, be things that contribute to heart disease, things just moving our body and things like that, eating what is healthy for our body. And as I said last week, we all know some of the basics, which is an apple is more nutritious than apple pie,
Mm,
right? Some packaged fruit
right.
product thing is less nutritious than the fruit itself. And there's just those are simple, obvious things, but we all get into those habits or routines where we think, well, I'm working and I'm driving in the car and that's all I can do. And this is all I can do.
Yeah.
But we really have come to the idea, kind of, I won't say the hard way, but I told some of my story last week about not eating gluten, and my body was really kind of on this low grade suffering. It was subtle, but it was like my joints were hurting and I was very bloated and I wasn't eating a lot. I hadn't gained any weight, but it was uncomfortable without me even realizing it. And I think that's what starts to happen as weight creeps in, walking or doing some sort of exercise, weight bearing exercise, slows down. All these things get put on the back burner, and it's funny because if we put it really in context, we're putting our health, our vitality, our energy on the back burner for what? Like, what's on the front burner?
Yeah, and that's one thing I talk to my clients a lot about is we sacrifice our health in the name of convenience.
Mm,
fast food and processed foods and microwave foods. And one of the most important things that we can do for our health is what we put into our body. And it takes intention and attention to live this healthy nutrition lifestyle. And we're constantly making choices. And one thing I tell my clients is every time we choose what we put into our mouth, it's either leading us to better health or to disease. And we choose that. And we don't have to be perfect. And that's not ever the point. It's consciously choosing what is going to move us towards our optimal health, which is our true nature. And we were
it
talking
is.
about that, the true, what is our true nature? It's health and well-being. And it's really getting back to our natural state, and eating natural whole foods goes along with that.
Yeah, and you said consciously, and that's of course where we would come from this point of view is integrating spirit, mind, and body is being consciously aware of what we're eating, consciously choosing,
Mhm.
so that when we do choose, the chocolate cake, when we do choose the donut for breakfast, it's something special. It's something meaningful.
Mhm.
It's like the beignets and in Louisiana or something. It's like something special that we're going to indulge in, the once in a while rather than the everyday. And but I want to point out that when I tell people that I'm vegan, except for my family, because I was mostly vegetarian without dairy, mostly before. But being vegan, one of the first things that people say is, I could never be vegan because I can never not have, and they're going to name their
Yeah.
favorite food. So for me, that would be fried chicken. I'm from the South, fried shrimp and fried chicken. But what we would both say is that being vegan or having any type of lifestyle way that we eat food, whether it's all natural or, whatever we decide to go to, it doesn't mean this, that, or the other thing. There are, as I tell everyone, there's no vegan police that come get you if you eat a piece of fried chicken, or as my one friend said, I could never not have another hamburger. Eat a hamburger. Eat a hamburger every Friday. Whatever that is. Eat a different burger. Make it, Friday burgers. But have your plant-based days. Have your plant-based meals. Have the meals that when you eat them, your digestive works easily. It takes no time. There's energy and vitality. And the other thing is people just assume that you're eating vegetables. I mean, in their mind, it's like a side dish
Mhm.
of broccoli or Brussels sprouts, or like a sweet potato with, of course, no butter or cream on it, and or baked potato. And so they can't imagine that the array of vegan and plant-based foods that are not processed, but the recipes that are so easy. Well,
Mm.
what is one of our favorite sites? I forgot to look that up. It's she uses the minimalist
Oh yeah, the
baker.
minimalist baker. Yeah, and it's this simple, and I'm a big believer in simple and also tasting
It's got to taste good.
delicious. It's not from a place of deprivation or sacrifice. It's a place of wholeness and fullness and being satisfied.
Enjoy.
Enjoy, and I think that's how we cook, that's how we eat, from a place of this is nourishing, and we spend a lot of time cooking in the kitchen. And some of the meals we just look at each other and like, this is amazing, and like, we can't get this in a restaurant. Like,
Hmm.
it's very rare to go to a restaurant and eat the foods that we do, and
Simply. I
simply.
mean, it doesn't take
A-
us that long.
and it doesn't have to be time consuming. It doesn't have to be boring. It can be simple and satisfying. Otherwise, what's the point? But it also is important for it to be nourishing. And I think it's really paying attention to how do we feel? How do we feel when we're eating, after we're eating? Do we feel light and energetic, or do we feel kind of not good, or like you said, just kind of all these gastrointestinal symptoms? And it's like those are messages that I think are really important to listen to, and we just get conditioned to not feeling good.
Right. Well, biologically, food plays, of course, an important part of who we are as this body. We are literally what we eat. And when we listen to the body, it will discern for us what and how much to eat.
Mm,
And we can talk about that too, because the serving size, like when we go to a restaurant, it's pretty amazing. The serving size
yeah.
is like 3 meals. I mean,
Mhm.
it's ridiculous, but most people are you they think, and I grew up with this too, eat what's on your plate. You
Mm,
got to eat it all or you get no dessert. And so we're eating more food than our body even wants to eat, but now we've become used to it. And when we have this preconceived idea of how it's supposed to be when we're rigid or when we're strict, or when the opposite, when we're just, I'll eat anything at any time because it's out and it's easy and it's convenient,
mm,
our bodies suffer. It is a form of abuse,
yeah.
to subjugate our bodies to what it can't handle. It's like we just keep pushing things into it that it's saying, no, I
Yeah.
can't process this. I can't process that. And it's hard to live enlightened in a body that is suffering when we could alleviate that suffering, when we can do so many kind of subtle things. Last week you mentioned just change breakfast or just
Mm,
change one meal
mm.
and start with something small or slow, start with something convenient and energizing.
Yeah, so this kind of just came to me, and it's not even where you would have to change what you eat, you change how you eat.
Mm,
So two of the most basic principles that precision nutrition talks about, they're very simple in theory, but try them out for yourself. They can be very challenging to do. So the first one is to eat slowly,
mm,
to eat mindfully and slowly. That means you're not on your phone. That means you're not at your desk. You're just present to eating your food. You're chewing your food and you're putting your fork down after every bite. Try it.
yeah, we
and
don't do
and
that well.
see what that feels like. It's very uncomfortable, and you can go as far as timing yourself to see how long it eats, and if you how
It
long it
eats.
takes for you to eat. And it's challenging. So eat mindfully and slowly. Eat in rest and digest, not in fight or flight. And the second one is eating until you're 80% full,
Hmm.
and that's part of it. It goes hand in hand with eating slowly, but because it takes about 20 minutes for the signal from your gut to your brain to tell you you're full.
Right,
So if we're eating fast, we're probably going to overeat. So eating until you're only 80% full gives you time to send that signal, and you won't uh, walk away from the dinner table over full like we
right.
do at Thanksgiving. But we happen to do it way too often, eating to 100% full, 110% full, 120% full. So change how you eat would be a big life-changing principle.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, we try that to eat slow. Sometimes we get very excited about the food we're
It's
eating.
so good.
But the TV on, the computer's on, we're not reading. We're actually, we take the time to sit down at the table with our meal. We say a prayer, a little blessing, acknowledging ourselves, the food, whatever we feel like saying, and eating consciously,
Mhm.
eating consciously, and we do pretty good.
Yeah, we do, and we really appreciate that time, time of togetherness, time of doing something that we both love to do, and it's both a passion of both of ours to eat healthy and nourish our body and have fun with different kinds of vegan foods and all the spices and all the different varieties of plants that we've are being exposed to,
Yeah.
and it gets to be fun. And yeah, I think one of the most important things is educating ourselves, and if you're part of a family, educating our families, our children to know why we're eating a certain way, and uh, watching documentaries. For me,
Mm.
watching Game Changers was really instrumental in me making the transition to all plant-based. And I've watched Forks Over Knives. There's so many good documentaries that are out there, and it's
Inspiring.
absolutely, and that we can make a difference, not only in our health, but the environment, of course, animals and how they're treated. And again, it's a personal choice, and I respect everybody's personal choice, and we have to do what's best for ourselves. But I do strongly believe that nutrition is a huge resource for us to live our best lives for energy and health and vitality. And it can be fun. It
Yeah.
can be something that brings us together around food. And why not make it healthy food, food that makes us feel good? And I think that's really the bottom line.
Well, I know that you and I both separately, even before we met, we're not going to eat food that doesn't energize us, that doesn't move us into the activities for our day, feeling good, so that I can sit and meditate when I want, and the stomach and the joints and the this, everything's just peaceful. And it was important to me.
Well, I've always been inspired by taking care of my body. I've always been intrigued by nutrition. I've been a personal trainer for 30 years.
But so many people that I knew would eat like 20 chicken breasts.
Uh,
Like, I mean,
that was bodybuilder Troy.
oh, well, that was,
And again, the realization that we don't need as much protein as we are told that we need. And the Game Changers, which featured bodybuilders and Arnold Schwarzenegger,
mm,
and the realization and the education that we can only assimilate so much protein
at a time.
at our time. So we're basically throwing away all the protein anyways, that we don't need. So we're wasting a lot of money, and it's not even good for us. It's hard on our kidneys to process all that protein. And I just was inspired by that movie in
Oh,
particular
wow.
as an athlete. And it came out about 4 years ago, and I transitioned fully into veganism at that time. I did it for about a year before then, and went back to more of the traditional eating because of some challenges that I faced socially. And I just made this commitment to myself that this is a lifestyle that I wanted to embrace. And as an athlete, as somebody, the furthest I've cycled at one time was 120 miles on a vegan diet. Still very much into working out, and the lightness and the energy and the vitality that I feel on this type of nutrition is amazing
Yeah.
without sacrificing lean muscle mass or anything like that. And actually, the strongest guy in the world
Oh, yeah.
eats only plants, and this guy he's huge. And gorillas only
Well,
eat plants. So there's
be
so
strong like
much,
gorilla.
yeah, that's right.
Eat
There's
plant.
so much misinformation and confusion out there. Marketing does a really good job of confusing people based on wanting your dollar. And I think it's
Right. The
our
product they're
own
selling. Yeah.
personal responsibility to educate ourselves, read labels, turn whatever you're thinking about buying, turn it around and read the labels. And it's most oftentimes it's shocking and very deceptive, which I'm sad to say. It's about the almighty dollar.
Mhm.
And it's our own personal responsibility as a consumer to choose what's best for us. And choosing non-GMO foods, and I choose to support companies that really care about my health. I make a personal choice with my dollar to invest in companies that are really looking out for my health. So companies that support non-GMO foods. I don't buy all organic, but I prefer organic, and I want to support those industries, and industries that are really upfront about how they treat animals, and how they manufacture their foods and
Processed
things
food.
like that, and that's really important to me, and I can support them with my dollar, and that's just something I feel very strongly about. And educating myself, I think that's really important, and embracing this lifestyle because it works for me.
Well, and I obviously come at it from a slightly different point of view, and that is like for me, it's how does my body feel,
Mm.
and how am I discerning? I would even say spiritually what my body needs,
Mhm.
what my body wants. And it's all, I shouldn't say it's always, I mean, it is always changing in a way. I mean, every age, our bodies, our environment, the seasons change, everything's changing. And to move with that flow and to feel the energy and, like I said, the vitality through the food, really becoming what we eat, and knowing that that feels like my body feels good, probably better than it did 5 years ago.
So one of my favorite quotes is from Hippocrates. It says, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food."
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth behind that. And I think it's a lost art of today, is cooking and being around the dinner table as a family, eating healthy, nutritious food. And I mean, I would love to bring that back. And I love the idea of the slow food
Mm.
movement. And we've kind of caught up in convenience, and every corner there's a fast food restaurant. We can get hot dogs at the convenience store. And the slow food movement is I think it's a beautiful movement. Just slow down and enjoy our food, and cooking it in the kitchen with family. And we're so busy doing this and doing that, and we're in fight or flight. Can we be in rest and digest? And honestly, we don't even absorb the nutrients that we are eating, the little bit that we may be eating, if we're in fight or flight, meaning that
Yeah.
we're stressed out. So
Like the eating in the car in
yeah,
between appointments,
at,
um,
at the desk.
at our desk with the phones ringing, and things going on that are really distracting. And again, the spiritual, the integrating spirit, mind, and body, we can see how that isn't as advantageous um, to to integrate it all, and to be in a state of peace and harmony with our body and our environment.
Yeah, and as you talk about a lot, we are not the body, but our body is an instrument to experience this world, and to do the things that we love, and to do the work that we're called to do. So there's a deeper meaning for me to take care of my body, and see it as ageless, and immortal and eternal, and embodying that. And so here's my aging secret. You want to hear
Yeah.
it? So I de-age myself by a decade. So by the way I think, the way I feel, the lifestyle that I live, and I'm actually maybe move that 2 decades the older I get. So I'm 56, so really 46, and actually I feel more like I'm 36.
Mm,
And that's a state of being, and it's
yeah.
a choice, and it's a lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle that I embrace and I'm passionate about, and love to share this passion and conviction for integrating spirit, mind, and body. It's wholeness, and I want my will to be round and whole, and so it doesn't go bumpity bumpity bump.
It's from last week if you missed it.
So it's good to repeat ourselves so people can truly embrace that round will, and you get to ask the question, where am I out of alignment? Where am I out of balance? Where am I not in harmony in spirit, mind, and body? And how can I simply start to make these changes that will get me more in alignment to the truth of who I am, which is spirit, and that the spirit lives in this body.
Yeah, the vital energy. But I did want to share with you guys, we do kind of cheat because I had not been vegan. This one's kind of messed up, but we use purple carrot. But truthfully, we were using another service before I was, when my son was at home, and I became an empty nester, and it was just nice to have some really healthy food around. That was it's a meal service. So the one I was using before had vegan options, which was wonderful, and vegetarian options, and they had, keto and Mediterranean and all these other options. So it's really great for family members who are going, different ages, different stages in their nutritional needs. But for us, when we went to Purple Carrot, they must have 8 or 10 options every week to choose from. And people think, as we did, that it's very expensive, but when there's zero waste, you have no waste, and you're not buying sort of a jar of something that you're not going to use again for a year and you throw it out, all those kinds of things. It became for us just not only easy and convenient, but of course healthy, nutritious. And so it's called Purple Carrot. But they just have these amazing things.
Yeah.
It's like
one of the meals.
Almond butter tofu. I don't know. Almond butter tofu. Which, I mean, these sauces on the tofu, they're ridiculous.
Yeah, the sauces
they're just ridiculous.
Spices, and they're pretty, they're colorful.
Look at that. Roasted carrot hummus bowls. Now, see, these things like this, to me personally, those are so easy for me to make. I'm not going to order that meal, but I'm going to look at that recipe. It's 30 minutes, and usually they're less than what they say. And they are delicious. This one has sort of a sauce, roasted carrot sauce or something, and they're easy. They're nutritional. Sesame ginger noodles. Tomato bisque. Well, that's easy. Oh, so this one. Fig glazed sweet potatoes. I mean, come on, man. That's just an autumn feast. Oh, and of course, my personal favorite. Any kind of flatbread. I'm just saying. Yeah. And this is like, we learned how to make coconut bacon and eggplant bacon and all these fun substitutes for things that we like. But the reason I bring this up is if you think you don't have time, if you think that it's not convenient, if you do want to get started on your own nutrition, it doesn't have to be vegan, of course. Like I said, there are ways and websites, the Minimalist Baker, that I think it's 10 ingredients or less, or 8 ingredients or less. And she has, again, every type of food. It isn't just vegan. But I just encourage you to explore what your body is calling for you to do so that it can relax. It can be still so that you can be still and know the truth of your being. And I just posted, when our primary experience is that we are caught up in the content of our body, what our body is feeling. We're caught up in the content of our mind and what we think we should do and shouldn't do and have to do and all those things. We miss being present to the presence, to awareness, to consciousness. We're distracted by the body. We're distracted by the mind. And that's how we feel when we can ease the body, ease the mind, become the observer, and watch what we're eating, watch the thoughts that are arising in the mind, and relax into harmony and flow. And that is what we call integrating spirit, mind, and body.
And I'm distracted by being hungry right now.
Time to go.
It's time to go.
Yes, make some good food.
Let's go eat some plant-based food.
Yeah.
What's on store for tonight?
No, I don't know. Apricot glazed figs. What is that? Fig glazed sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much for all of us to explore, but let's have fun. Let's just have fun doing it. And
Fun and tastes good.
yeah, and trying something new that we know in our heart will bring us energy and lightness of being. And that contributes to our overall ability to, wake up. The body is the closest thing to us, right? It's the closest object to who we are. And it is not who we are, but it is the closest object. And treat it well, treat it really well, and watch it energize, be in that flow of energy and vitality.
Yeah, love ourselves enough to put good things into our body.
So we hope this week you laugh, love, and live enlightened every day, treating your body like a temple, the temple that it is. Thanks for watching. You can learn more on my website, elizabethcantey.com. I've written a book, The Living Enlightened. It's called Living Enlightened, The Joy of Integrating Spirit, Mind, and Body. And Troy, you can find out more about him.
Yep, my website is troyismir.com. That's ismir.com. And I've written a book that's on Amazon. True Power is Inner Power, 99 Poems to Inspire Greatness Within. Go check it out.
Thanks for watching. Join us again next Tuesday at 7 a.m. Mountain Time for Living Enlightened with Elizabeth Cantey. Integrating your spirit, mind, and body. Learn more at www.ntmedia.org.